This time I'll call the Budget Committee meeting to order and ask Angela to please call the roll.
Here.
Here. I'll now ask if you'll please make the emergency announcement.
Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
I'll now ask if there's any public input on items on the agenda. Seeing none, move on to the minutes. The minutes that need approved are in your packet from the February 8th, 2016 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I declare the motion passed. Okay. Increases, decreases, and transfers. Item E1A, amendments. General County Jail, $65,000 is the increase for payment to consultant conducting the study for a new reimbursement contract. I'll go ahead and let's get this on the floor. Do I hear a motion to send this on? Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? I believe we have Jared is here to answer any questions anyone has on this. Jared, would you please come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, this is the, we spent the $65,000 to hire a government who has experience in negotiating contracts, and it was up for the federal contract to be renewed, and he was able to negotiate us a new rate, a per diem rate for the federal prisoners. Yes, sir. Previously, it was $58.50, and as of December 1st, 2015, it's $75.
Is there any other questions?
So this is a transfer or an increase? It's marked increase, but the explanation says transfer.
We had to pay the consultant, so they had to use money from their attendant payroll line to pay. We are doing an increase from the federal prisoner revenue, and then we're going to have to put it back in that attendant line.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Is there any other questions before we move on? Just one. Go ahead.
Jared, is that an annual contract? Is that negotiable each year, or is that for a certain time period? Or?
It is renewed annually, but I'm not sure about the negotiation side of it. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Hannum?
Yes.
Lewis? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Moon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item E1B, General County Register of Deeds, $1,550. This is an adjustment for an archives grant that was awarded for a dehumidifier that's needed in that office. I'll go ahead and ask that we get this on the floor. Have a motion. Do I have a second? Is there any questions or any discussion? I'll ask for roll call vote, please.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item E1C, General County, County Buildings, $149,863. This is an adjustment for a TDEC Energy Grant Award for the windows in the HVAC systems. Do I hear a motion to get it on the floor? Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Don, will you come up and explain what this is exactly?
This is, it's a grant that's already been before this body and also the commission's been approved. It's just a housekeeping measure. Obviously, we're starting the work. Saw the paper today where the windows are being put in. This is putting it into our line so we can start making payments to the window company and HVAC system companies.
Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion? Thank you, Don. Seeing none, I'll ask for roll call vote, please.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item E1D, General Purpose Schools, $50,000. This is an increase due to the lowest HVAC replacement bid coming in $50,000 higher than the original budget amount of $475,000. Do I hear a motion to get this on the floor?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussion for this?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Logan. It may be better asked, I don't know if it has to do with purchasing, but how many bids were received on this item? 3. 3.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions or discussion on this?
Hey, Troy, how did we estimate the original amount when we moved forward with that to begin with?
Got the estimate from Mr. Farmer, I think, who got that through the architect.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item E1E, General Purpose Schools, $10,640. This is an adjustment for a state-approved adult education critical needs grant. Do I hear a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, I'll ask for roll call vote, please.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item E1F, Highway Department, $67,880.86. This is an increase due to revenue that was received from the Townsend for the extensive paving and maintenance work performed on a road there. Have a move for approval. Do I hear a second? Have a move for approval and a second. Any discussion or any questions on this?
Mr. Chairman, highway equipment, Jeff, can you, what equipment was purchased? What?
I believe Chico's setting this aside for some paving equipment, a couple other small items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions or any discussion? This was actually put into the budget into your budget from the Townsend for the paving y'all did on that road on there next to the river, correct? Okay, thank you, Jay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, discussion, possible action. The resolution for the Gatsby. Randy, you want to explain that?
The state of Tennessee is kind of suggesting this as a best practice. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board is the authority that we use to make changes to our accounting practices. It's not anything we just sit around dreaming up to do from year to year. And they issue promulgations in the form of statements on what we should be doing, how we should treat certain types of financial reporting and practices. The state subscribes and endorses those. We have done those here as well. I thought it would be wise for the commission to adopt a resolution that just clarifies, in fact, that the county is going to be on record for that. That is our guidance, our financial Bible, if you will, for how we report financial transactions. And there have been some pretty significant changes that have come down the road just this year that we're in. There are changes to pension reporting. And since we're a member of the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, there are also responsibilities that they have under GASB. And I just thought it would be wise if we put in front of you, and hopefully the full commission would adopt, that we're on record as following and complying with the Governmental Accounting Standards Board as the state of Tennessee would want us to. Someone could say, well, I don't see the point in it if we have to do it anyway, but from time to time when we do notes to the financial statements, we like to refer to the fact of whether the county commission has gone on record as adopting certain ones of these.
Randy, these are the same guidelines we followed for years. Correct?
Yes.
Thank
you. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we send in resolution form forward to the agenda committee for action of the full commission to adopt this resolution.
Okay, I have a motion to send this forward with recommendation. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or any discussion for Randy? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote on this, please.
Hannum,
Yes.
Lewis. Mitchell,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item F2, the fleet leasing agreement with Enterprise. Katie, would you come up and explain that, please?
Thank you. A need was brought to my attention regarding the age and the safety of our fleet. Just to give you a bit of background, the average age of our fleet is roughly 150,000 miles plus. That being said, due to a lack of a formal maintenance agreement or program in the past, lots of our vehicles have become unreliable and unsafe for our employees. Also, some of the vehicles that we do have with our employees, doesn't necessarily match their need. For example, you'll have somebody driving a 4x4 SUV that doesn't necessarily need that. They could probably do what they needed to do in an economy car. So the goal by seeking out an RFP for this proposal was to lease the appropriate car so we could minimize the overall cost to the county and reduce the size of our fleet. So we put out an RFP in February to request any fleet management proposal that anybody had an idea to help us with. And all of the proposals that we received back was to do a 5-year usage lease. That being said, we ultimately entered into contract negotiations with Enterprise, which are here today. The cost of the program that Enterprise have proposed is fixed. Therefore, it can be budgeted for, it's inflation-proof, and it will reduce our overall maintenance cost. That being said, there's kind of two components to this contract. The first is actually the usage lease itself. That being said, they will look at our fleet that we currently have and analyze our needs and then take that to market. They can negotiate different costs and contracts with various different vendors of our choosing. And at that point, they will bring back the proposal to us and we'll pick what cars that we need. They have a local staff here in Alcoa of 22 different employees that we will meet with quarterly to assess how much we're actually using the car monthly, to assess how we should move forward in the future. And these lease ranges from roughly $250 a month to $500 depending on the car. The second part of the program is the maintenance aspect of it, and we can opt into one of two choices with them, just merely a reporting aspect of it, and that is $6 per car a month. That being said, for the $6, you get notifications sent to you via email or on your phone that says your car now needs an oil change or the shocks need to be replaced, which would allow us an overall counting of the complete fleet management program. The second aspect of it is the maintenance reporting. If we wanted to, we could have them completely do all maintenance, and that would be all scheduled preventative maintenance and unpreventative maintenance, and that ranges from roughly $30 to $41.22 a month. And that being said, there'll be local vendors that is doing the scheduled maintenance. It's just a few examples would be Airport Honda, West Chevrolet, Firestone, Valvoline, etc. So just to give you an example, at the $6 a month per vehicle, it would be $360 to have all of that tracking over a 60-month period, just to give you a full lease term of the 5 years. That being said, the maintenance bills would then go on to Enterprise. Enterprise will review those maintenance bills and determine if they're fair, if the work was correctly done. At that point, they would forward them on to us, and then we would deem payment at that point. In closing, I'm not asking the Budget Committee or Commission to approve a bunch of cars to be purchased. I'm asking simply that you approve a multi-year contract allowing the different elected officials and office holders to come in and utilize the lease contract. That being said, they would come to you through their budgets for the leases, which would be subject to commission approval.
Okay, is there any questions? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, how many leased vehicles do we have currently in our fleet?
We don't have any leased vehicles in our fleet now.
To my knowledge, we currently do not have any leased vehicles.
All of our vehicles now are fixed or assets of the county. So now we're looking at moving to a lease, from ownership to leasing. Okay.
Correct.
And we expect how many vehicles?
First of all, this does not include the sheriff's department.
Right.
They're not in this.
Correct.
In this. So how many vehicles right now,
excluding
the schools and the sheriff's department, how many vehicles?
Oh gosh, excluding the schools and the sheriff's department, I would say roughly around 50.
50. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I think I probably have several questions. Can I ask?
Sure.
The first one, since we have not entered into lease agreements so far with anybody, all of our vehicles are owned at this point, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if we enter into a lease agreement for vehicles, I understand the concept of lowering costs, lease versus buy. What is the plan for getting rid of the vehicles that we currently have?
Enterprise can assist us if we choose in selling off our current fleet. And that being said, all of this would not be done in the first year. We would see the greatest need in the current vehicles that we have and then slowly sell the ones that we have and bring in new vehicles.
You said that Enterprise could help.
Yes.
Is that a plan, or is that going to be part of a contract? I didn't notice that anywhere.
That's for us to elect to do that if we would choose to, or we can sell them through the general avenues of surplus on Gov Deals.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to ask was, If we enter into a contract, if the county enters into a contract to lease vehicles, and Enterprise then is going to be an intermediary, so to speak, if I understood you correctly, for the maintenance of the vehicles, what happens if they deem, if there's a conflict between the vendor that was used and their belief that it should be paid before it comes to us?
They have a set list of vendors that are already pre-authorized to use, and any charge over $50, when we would say I take in my car for an oil change and they determine that I need shocks to be put on my car, that individual maintenance person would contact Enterprise and get pre-approval prior to the work being performed.
And so Enterprise is then approving any repairs versus the county?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
She was using that as an example. She does not drive a county vehicle. I just want to make sure that that's understood.
Thank you.
When she was saying my vehicle, she does not have a county vehicle. Commissioner Lewis?
Just two things. One, it looks like we'd be, if we utilized all 50 vehicles at somewhere between $250 and $500 a month, we're in the $200,000 to $225,000 annual cost before any repairs. Is that?
That's correct, and it depends on which way they would elect to do repairs. Again, you can get a monthly maintenance repair contract for in between $30 and $41.22. So if you elected to do everything, let's say you got, for example, a compact sedan, your monthly payment would be $251.42, and the full maintenance package on that would be $33.17. So the total cost monthly would be $284.58 for a 5-year term.
And would it be up to the office holder to decide if they wanted to participate in this agreement or not participate?
Correct. They would have to work it into their individual budgets.
Well, I certainly agree that we've got a lot of vehicles out there with a lot of miles and a lot of maintenance issues. Do we have any idea of what we have spent on maintenance on those vehicles in the last year or 2 years?
Well, that's kind of an issue I've ran into, is because we don't have a formal reporting system. There's no way to really maintain exactly what we spent on each vehicle. I can tell you what we spent in oil roughly for the county, but I can't necessarily tell you what vehicle that the oil went into or the different brakes and such on each vehicle. So it's hard to maintain a fleet without having that information.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, what you run into is we have some vehicles in our fleet, and take, for example, the codes department. They're two-wheel drive. They go into areas where they need four-wheel drive to inspect houses, new homes, and things like that. Some of those vehicles may have as many as 250, 300,000 miles on them. And most of the time when they do oil changes or they have any of that small maintenance like that done on them, they've been just paying for it themselves. The employees have actually been paying for that maintenance, oil changes and things like that themselves.
Well, the reason I ask that is if you look at, $225,000 or $250,000 a year, it seems like a lot. But if you also go back and say, but this is what we have spent either on new vehicles, the replacement vehicles, and maintenance, then it might not look so bad. But so that's why I was wondering if there's a way to actually look at those costs and be able to compare the two.
That's going to be very difficult, is it not?
I don't think it's possible, frankly. Thanks.
Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, that even begs the question, this is putting something in place that will track these costs and manage them in some logical way. I know we do have people driving four-wheel drive vehicles that could get by in a compact car, and you know people who need four-wheel drive and they can't get them. So I fully support this arrangement.
And I think that Katie alluded to it. This is not a go out and lease 50 new cars. That's not what this is about. This is about as those cars with 300,000 and 400,000 miles on them, as they start going away, then we can start looking at trying to put this procedure in place to where we will have an avenue to go and get a vehicle that meets their needs that doesn't have 150 to 200,000 miles on it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
what I just heard concerns me a little bit though. So when we put schools back in and we put the sheriff's department back in, are you saying to this body that there is no way, or there hasn't been any tracking for a maintenance fleet in any department, or just?
I can't speak for the sheriff's department particularly, but just what I've been able to uncover since I've personally been here, I haven't found anything that will specifically track each vehicle, no.
Thank you.
I think, and I'm, Jared, tell me if I'm wrong, I know the sheriff's department tracks their vehicles. I know the highway department tracks the maintenance on their vehicles. Troy, I'm assuming, do you all have a tracking system in place to track the maintenance on the vehicles that you all have?
We have about 32 vehicles. 16 of those are in the maintenance department, which get, regular use. Some of those vehicles are parked and they're too old or won't run at all, and they've not been driven in a year or two. Not individually, but in total, we have a line item where we pay for all of that maintenance, and we probably spend about $20,000 a year in total, but I couldn't tell you by vehicle.
Did that answer did that kind of answer your question on that?
Yeah, I kind of did.
Any other questions or discussion?
Let me just make one comment. To the mayor's point, this is just an option of menus for solutions. We are, because of the age of the fleet and because of the dependability issues that we're running into now, we're starting to experience more incidents where it's not an oil change or it's not a minor repair. It's drop a transmission in one, drop a differential in one, drop a motor in one. It goes out on you because of some electronics. We have to have it towed. You're out of commission during that time. And having reliable transportation that our folks need to carry out their inspection responsibilities, whether it's the property assessor, codes enforcement, we've still got to do that work. And this is just, if they can afford it, here's an option, rather than dropping the month, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in repairs on the vehicle. Exactly, and I think this body's gone on record pretty consistently. They don't have a lot of appetite for new debt.
Any more questions or discussion? I'll ask for a roll call vote to send this on to Agenda Committee. Oh, do I have a motion to send this on? Got ahead of myself there. Do I have a second? Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Hannum.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item G, finance reports. This is for information only. I'll now ask if there's any input on items that are not on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll see if there can entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.